Hi, everybody. I'm Todd Jones, CEO of the Reading Chamber of Commerce, here today for the City Builders podcast with my board chair, Michelle Nystrom, who is the Community Relationship Manager for Sierra Pacific Industries for the Northern Sierra region for Sierra Pacific. And we're going to cover a lot of things. So today's episode is about the Chamber of Commerce, what we're working on, what Michelle's priorities are, what my priorities are, where we see Reading in the future, and all the things in between, and where we want to go, and where we're going to take somebody for 24 hours in Reading. It's a really fun episode. It's different than the ones we've done. We're really going to talk about the Chamber today. So thank you so much for being here, and welcome everybody to the City Builders Podcast. Welcome to the City Builders Podcast, brought to you by the Reading Chamber of Commerce. I'm Todd Jones, President and CEO. In each episode, we bring you insights from local business leaders, tackle important issues, and explore what's shaping the future of Reading. Whether you're a business owner or just interested in our community's growth, this podcast is something for you. Thanks for joining us. This is City Builders. The City Builders podcast is brought to you by Obsidian IT. Obsidian IT is a Reading-based, employee-owned technology company providing simple, scalable, outsourced IT for your business. Discover how Obsidian cares about IT and give them a call at 530-242-6000 or obsidianit.com. Obsidian keeps us running at the Chamber, and we could not do business without them. Michelle, you are my board chair for 2025. Mm-hmm. Thank you for taking that role on. Who are you? For those that don't know, which is probably not many people watching this podcast, but who is Michelle Nystrom?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Wow, that's such a deep question. So I'm going to keep it super surface.
Okay, great.
So I am born and raised in Reading in Shasta County, and I am the Community Relations Manager for Sierra Pacific Industries. And Sierra Pacific, for those that don't know, fourth generation, family-owned wood products company. And it's massive, right? We've got 6,500 employees. We're in 5 different states. And I get to represent Sierra Pacific in the community. It's an amazing, amazing role.
That's awesome. How many counties do you cover?
I cover 6.
Okay. Do you know what they are?
I was
What are your counties? Sorry. Yeah.
Of course I do.
Yes.
Modoc, Humboldt, Siskiyou, Trinity, Shasta, and Tehama.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Yeah. I am really glad that was smooth.
Yeah, good. You did a great job. You did a great job. You nailed it. Yeah. What has it been like to work for Sierra Pacific Industries?
Yeah, wow. It's been wild. I didn't really anticipate making a career change this late in life.
You're young still.
So,
you have a whole career still.
But it's been amazing to find a company that just has such complete value alignment for me. And it's a massive, massive company. There's so much to learn, but it has been absolutely fascinating work to learn about sustainable forestry management, about the wood products industry, and be able to make contributions back to the company in different areas. And it's, there's so much that they do that people aren't even aware of, right? I mean, even when I first started looking into it, I was like, oh yeah, Sierra Pacific, I'm familiar with them. Yeah. I grew up here, right? They have a huge presence in Shasta County, and they're a logging company. So fun fact, they are not a logging company.
How many timber fallers do they have on payroll?
Yeah, 0.
Yeah.
0. Yeah. So, but it's been such an amazing challenge to learn all of these different things. And it's an industry that's just constantly moving, constantly changing. There's so much science behind what we do. And then the impacts that they have back in the community, I think is one of my favorite parts, right? And when we talk about, having a negative carbon footprint and how they really take care of the environment and contribute back to that. And then how they invest in their employees and their crew members, how they give back to the communities that they operate in. Like, it's having that career feel-good moment every day.
Yeah.
And I love that. Yes.
And you get to work right down the hall from Red, who's still there.
Yeah.
I hear he's only there 6 days a week now instead of 7.
Right. He takes Sundays off, right?
Good.
That's the running joke. But yeah. No, it's, he's an icon.
Yeah,
right?
He is.
He's an industry icon, but so humble and so kind. And I'm not trying to turn this into a quote from a Tim McGraw song, but it's everyone in that company is that way.
Yeah.
And I think that that's incredible. It speaks so much to their culture and the values that they live out every day. Like you see it in all of the people that you get to work with. And I think that that's really rare and really a testament to Red's legacy.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're the board chair now. You've been on the board for about 3 years.
3 years, 5 months.
You're in your fourth year, your second 3-year term.
Yes.
But you have been involved with the chamber for a long time. More than 10 years. Probably about when Jake got there 9-ish years ago. Maybe a little bit in the Frank Strazzarino days too.
Yeah, a little bit with Frank.
Yeah.
A little bit with Frank. But
why
really
did you get
more
involved?
heavily
Yeah.
involved. I think that at the time that Jake came in, which I don't want to make this about Jake because I want to be super clear that this is about you.
Thank you. This is the last time we're going to mention his name on the podcast.
Last time. Yeah, Jake is dead to us moving forward. So I'm just kidding, Jake. That's not true. You're still very much alive and well. And Jake brought this different energy to the chamber, right? And there were big things that he wanted to do, and the chamber needed to evolve at that time. And so it was a good time to get more involved with the chamber and to kind of have a role in how that was formed and how that moved forward and what that looked like for our community. And then it's just been, I'd never left. I never stepped away, I guess.
Because you weren't even on the board at that time. You were on the board for 3 years and 5 months.
No. So things have escalated, but 2 years, 7 months, like I'm done.
You roll off.
I roll
You term out.
I
We have
term
term
out.
limits
I
at the chamber.
term out.
One of my favorite things about the chamber is term limits. I love them.
Yeah.
What is it that you enjoy and appreciate most about the Chamber of Commerce?
I think that chambers are so important to communities, and sometimes that gets lost in the noise, right? And there's so many important things that chambers do, and we tend to focus on those things that we see. So greeters, right?
Yeah.
Which is an amazing event, amazing legacy of the chamber. They are more popular now than they've ever been. They're heavily attended. But that is one small but important piece of what the chamber does. And in a day and age where we are so disconnected from each other, and sometimes even worse than disconnected, we're kind of battling each other, right? And I feel like the chamber provides this place for people to come together, because at the end of the day, if I'm a small business owner, or medium or large, any business owner, don't want to discriminate, it doesn't matter to me where you stand politically or where you stand religiously or what our differences are, because at the end of the day, we're both business owners trying to be successful in a world where that can feel hard. And so I feel like the chamber provides this collective whole, this group of people that can come together and have resources. And then in the background, people don't see all of the things that you and your staff and the chamber are doing from an advocacy standpoint, which to me is one of the most important roles of the chamber. And from a representation standpoint, to where I'm not just one business, I'm not just one mom and pop trying to survive every day. I have this group of people that have resources, that know the right people, that can step in and help me when I need them to. So I don't know if I just answered your question, but
yeah, no, I think that was great.
For me, it's the chambers are critical. Like, as a business owner, there's certain things that you do, right?
Yeah.
You pay your rent or your mortgage. You pay your utilities. You join a chamber, right? It's just a part of doing business. And it's even more important in the small towns, in rural areas, because we don't always have the voice that bigger businesses have or that bigger cities have. And so the chamber is that place where we can all come together. We see our similarities rather than our differences, and we can move forward together as a community. My answer here is not important. Todd Jones.
Yes.
Why did you join the chamber?
Oh, that's a great question. Join as a staff or join as a member?
Ooh.
Because I've been a member for a long time too.
Yeah. So let's talk about, you came from the EDC.
Yes.
You were there for 7 years.
Right.
I was also on that board.
Yes, you were.
So it was like a weird breakup
Yeah.
and then get back together,
Right.
but super happy about it.
Yeah.
Why that career change for you? What drew you to the chamber?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
what do I need to know about making sure you do your job?
Oh, good. Well, you interviewed me for the role, so hopefully
I know.
I answered it well there. But, I think I've been at the chamber for just over a year now, and it's been interesting because a lot of people have asked me, why did you leave the EDC? Why did you come to the chamber? And there's a multitude of reasons. I was on the board for 4 years, I think, maybe 3 to 4 years. I've known Jake. We worked really well together. And at the EDC...
Not supposed to mention his name anymore.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Jake,
It's okay.
my predecessor. My predecessor, I was well acquainted with. And at the EDC, a lot of things I loved about the EDC, but I was selling a product. I was selling a product for people to come to the Reading area, to all of Shasta County. Why would someone come to Shasta County? Then I heard time and time again from dozens of companies why they didn't come here. And a lot of those things were outside of control of me at the EDC, and many times they were out of control of the city. They were a state regulation, something that was happening, high energy costs, something was happening. So when Jake was leaving, he told me about it. I knew, and it was a great opportunity for me because rather than being in sales for a community, I wanted to be in product development. I wanted to be in a place where I could say, how can we make Reading the best place in California to do business? And at the EDC, I didn't have all those levers. As a 501c3, you have to be careful with how much you advocate. And as a 501c6 at the chamber, in the legacy and history of the chamber being around for 117 years, I was like, this is a place where I can have influence to change the direction of our community and work with all these businesses to do so. And I mean, ultimately, that's not a PC answer. That's not just a bunch of fluff. Like, I really came to the chamber because I wanted to make Reading a better place to do business, and I thought the chamber would have the ability to do that. So that was like the main core reason that I'm at the chamber, and it's been a lot of fun over the last year. I've learned a lot. And talking to businesses, I mean, there's some similarities, but there's obviously a lot of challenges that people face every day, and trying to figure out how we can help them is an ongoing thing.
That was a really good answer.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I'm so glad that we got you that teleprompter. I'm just kidding. There's
I'm
no
reading
teleprompter.
right behind you.
There's no
Yeah.
teleprompter. But okay, so serious question.
Yeah.
This one's going to be tough.
Okay, I'm ready.
When you came into this role, your predecessor had already chosen the board chair.
Yes.
And so I just want everyone to know you did not choose to have me as your board chair. How is
No.
that going?
No.
How often do you cry yourself to sleep at
Yeah,
night?
it's really hard. There's a lot of boards in this town, and you're on 18 to 20. I'm not really sure. You
I'd
probably
have
lost
to,
count.
I'd have to check
Whatever
my
your
LinkedIn.
whatever your calendar
Whatever my
says.
LinkedIn tells me
Yeah.
today.
I mean, Todd Davis was my board chair last year. My first year coming in, you're my board chair now, and the next year I'll have a different board chair, and I can't be sarcastic because it's been great. Like, you're someone that's been involved with the chamber, and I know like people are going to feel like this is sugarcoating a bunch of stuff, but you've been involved with the chamber for like 10 years. And you've gone through this journey over the years of like, you want to help people through COVID, all those Facebook Lives, getting in front of people and genuinely trying to serve the community and having a board chair that cares so much. And again, this sounds like a bunch of BS, but it's true. Like,
Yeah.
you really care, and you're really in the weeds on stuff, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
But you're also holding me accountable, and I need that too. So, because I don't have
This is
another
true.
strong woman in my life that also does that too. So
Yeah, no,
I'm just
you're
surrounded.
lacking.
I
You're
know, I'm
lacking.
surrounded.
You're lacking.
All
that.
angles.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Erica and I talk a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. It's been very helpful.
Yeah.
So I believe that when organizations have to go through different evolutions, and oftentimes a change in leadership prompts kind of a new era for organizations. So do you like the way I switch this to where
Yeah.
now I'm interviewing you?
I want it to be
I know.
conversational.
No,
This is great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I feel like the chamber is kind of in one of those times where we're going through an evolution. We're entering a different era, changing some things up. What does that look like from your perspective? What is it that you want to see the chamber become that your predecessor did an amazing job, and sometimes that's a hard place to step into, right? When you feel like you have big shoes to fill, which you've done fantastic so far.
So far, it's 7 months left of your term. It's okay.
But what does that look like? Like, what's your vision for the chamber moving forward?
Yeah.
What do we need to do more of, and what does the community need from us?
Yeah, so again, coming from the EDC and coming from previous to that, working for a member of Congress in this area, Congressman Wally Herger, I see, in my opinion, and really looking at chambers across the board, what decisions that government makes at the local, state, national level really impacts the business. Because if you make really bad tacos, you probably are going to go out of business if you're a taco shop, because I'm not going to help you make a better taco. But what I can do.
Is it possible to make a bad taco?
It's pretty hard, but it's out there. I can't go to Taco Bell. They're not a member, I don't think, so I can probably say that. Yeah. But all the other local taco shops, amazing. Yeah, Los Gordos. Okay. I love them. What's your? Never mind. We'll go down that road later. But there's a lot of things that I can't help with. I can't really help with the rising cost of food. That's a tough national issue that the U.S. Chamber is working on with tariffs. But what I can do is help make it easier to do business, which is what I think chambers can do. And advocacy is a core part of the chamber, and it's been a part of the chamber for 117 years. That's why we started. We were a group of business people that said it's too expensive to get freight from San Francisco. We need to do something about this. And so I think, looking back at Frank and looking back at Jake, advocacy has always been a pivotal part of the chamber, and I think it's something that we can do more in. So obviously, as you know, we started a government affairs committee just a few months ago, and we're putting the pieces together of that. And we do not have a PAC anymore. Again, telling the audience this, but we have a GAC, a government affairs committee, and the goal, it sounds funny when we say that, GAC, maybe we could have worked on a different term, but it was already in existence. So GAC, it's government affairs committee.
We're committed.
Yeah, what we want to do is, again, we want to make it easier to do business, and we want to advocate for all these businesses. Because again, that's the unique value propositions that chambers have, is we are, and legitimate chambers are, 501c6s. That's how they operate. Sometimes they're 501c3s, but they're most often a membership association of people bonded together to make their community better. And advocacy is a big part of that. So we want to meet with our local elected officials, I think, most, because that is what is going to change the day-to-day operations of how easy it is to do business, from getting a permit to getting a health inspection for your restaurant. There's all these different things, and we can do it. Changing state income tax, that's a pretty big lift for a small chamber, but what can we do on the day-to-day basis to make it easier? Because I don't remember who said this, but all politics are local. All politics is local. So, what can we do here? And again, it goes without saying on this podcast to our audience that politics in Shasta County are really crazy. So the GAC, a differentiator, is we're not a political action committee. We're not funding candidates, and we're not going to choose and endorse candidates. We will still do forums. We will still educate members on the positions that elected or candidates are making, but we really want to change policy. We want to say, what can we do to work together that's going to make it better for businesses to do business, attract tourism through Visit Reading, get people here, talent attraction, workforce. What can we do to make Reading more attractive? So that's kind of an angle that the GAC is taking. And again, we're still in formation, as you know, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what does that look? What do we need from our members in order to make that successful? Because I think about this time that we're in as a country, as a city, as a county, really just humanity in general, where there's a lot of disconnect. There's a lot of distrust. And I feel like the most important thing that we need from our members, and all members, new and ones that have been with the organization forever, is to hear their voice.
Totally. Yeah.
And so make your pitch, right? We've got 700, 800, 900, a lot of members.
About 800 right now.
And you've sent out some surveys. They don't always get a great participation rate.
Yeah.
But we need to hear from people, right? We need to hear from all of the members and all of the spaces, all of the industries, all sizes. I am making the pitch. I'm just kidding.
You're doing the pitch. You make the pitch. You did it. That was great.
Okay,
did it.
go.
You did it.
I'm not talking again until you make the pitch.
You
Let's
did
hear
the
it.
pitch. We need people to speak up because a lot of people get frustrated with government. And they're like, I'm just going to put my head down and grind and do my thing. And I'm not going to say anything because, obviously in Shasta County, we have a very vocal people on both sides, super conservative, super liberal. There's a lot of very, very loud voices, but it's a small amount of people. A large majority of Shasta County is probably, I would say conservative, but they're just not speaking up. They're like, whatever, this is too crazy. The state of California is too crazy. Something's going on. We're just not going to say anything. We're just going to stay out of it and do our thing. But I think if people don't say anything, they're just missing out on opportunities. And I think using us as a conduit to help them make those changes, you're not in it alone. When we send out surveys, there are dozens of people that are saying the same thing. And they might not know that another business is experiencing the same thing. And again, we know some of the common challenges, but we want people to tell us, like, what is going on in your business? What challenges do you have? Is there something we can do? And if you don't say anything, we can't help you. And I think collectively we need to come together and be that voice for a large population of people. And again, focus on like stuff that matters. We want to focus on policy issues that like, hey, why is it so hard to get a permit in the county or the city? Are there things that we can do? And we're not against the city or the county. We want to work with them to say, here's what our businesses are experiencing. What can we do together to make this easier and focus on stuff that's matter? I don't want to get tangled up in all these wild hairs that are going all over town for all these crazy things. I want to focus on stuff that really matters, that's going to make it better to do business, because that's what we exist for. Show up.
Great pitch.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
Participate.
Yeah, participate.
Yes.
Get off the sidelines.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, did I take that from you? You were going to say that. You were going to say get off the sidelines.
No, it's
All right,
okay. I want everyone
right.
saying
Yeah.
it. I want everyone saying
Get
it.
off the sidelines. And again, there's so many nonprofits, there's so many organizations. And I think the beauty of the chamber is most of them are members. So we are connected with them. We're plugged in. We know what's going on. And, we know a lot of the resources that are out there too to help. So it might not be some public policy position we want to change. It could just be, hey, did you know that the program exists here? Like, you should take advantage of this at Shasta College or SMART or whatever, because there's already a program for this and you should participate. Yeah. So
Yes.
that's the GAC. What does the GAC look like to you? I mean, you work in a very political world now. You work with elected officials all over the North State. What does the GAC mean for you, coming from an organization that also has local ties, but also pretty big national influence as well? So what does government affairs look like?
Yeah, I think from a chamber perspective, it's hard to get involved in politics in this day and age. And I think it was a really good decision on the part of the board a few years ago to move away from the PAC, to move away from financial contributions and endorsing candidates, because it's just too polarized. Right. And we are here to serve all businesses and all of our membership. And we recognize that those are on all ends of the political spectrum and everywhere in between. For me, the GAC is important because there's so much noise. Like, I don't know if you watch national news.
I try not to.
It's real hard.
Yeah.
Right? It's difficult. And it's kind of like Jerry Springer's back.
Yeah.
And so I think people have tuned out and they've stopped paying attention because they don't know who to trust. They don't know where to get their news. They get tired of hearing all bad news. And that's difficult because we can't move forward as a community if we are disengaged, if we aren't paying attention. And so for me, the GAC is really serving a purpose of bringing information that is from a trusted source, that is nonpartisan, right? Not biased, that is just putting information in front of our businesses that, hey, did you hear, like, here is this bill, SB
something.
987654321 that is in the legislature or that was signed by the governor, and here's the impact it could have on your business. And here are some experts that can help you navigate it.
Right.
Because we have those in our community.
Yeah.
We have great expertise when it comes to all different areas of running your business. Or maybe it's something that new policy changes that are coming out, or the candidate forums of like, where can I go to see that? Because I think right now, if we're trying to find, right, that this is good because the silver lining, people are more engaged with local politics than I can ever remember
that's a good point.
them ever being, right?
Supervisors meetings are packed.
The number of supervisor meetings that I watched in the first 42 years of my life versus the last 2 years of my life, like, does not compare.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's a beautiful thing because local politics matter.
Oh, yeah.
Now, do we want to do that without the contentiousness and the hatred and the vitriol and all of that? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we need to get there. And there are people in our community working on that too. But I think that engagement is so important. People are more engaged in some aspects than they have been before. And so they notice the importance of who they vote for on a local election more than they have in the past.
Right.
And so as a chamber, I think it's our role to help educate our members on legislation, on policies, on the things that are happening that directly impact their business, but then also on the candidates that are running for local office that will have impacts on their business as well, right? And so, and the chamber has done this for a few years. I think of things like, every year O2 Employment Services helps us host the
Labor
HR
law.
update.
Labor law update.
You.
Yes.
I've been out of it for long enough that it just, But that's important, right? And it's a free resource for our members from experts that says, here's what's happening in the world of HR, because that is such a minefield for businesses. Sure. And here's people that can help you navigate it, right? And so the chamber has been doing some of that, but the GAC allows us to go a little bit more in depth, a little bit more into those policies, like, hey, this legislation is pending. Here's what it does. If you want to write to your elected officials because you love it or hate it, here's how you do that. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So it's putting resources into people's hands. It's putting information into their hands. And that information and resources will always make our local businesses more powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And I think even at the state level too, it feels like a big hill to climb to change the statewide policy issue. But, we have good relationships with our assembly member and senator, and we're the biggest city in their districts. We're the biggest city in the congressional district for Congressman LaMalfa. So we should have our voice at the table with the things that he's doing. And not to say that our assembly member, senator, or congressman are going to be able to effectively change some big thing at the state level specifically, but we can be a voice of reason and say, hey, let's talk about this really specific policy issue that's going to affect, the ability to get woody biomass out of the forest. My favorite topic in the world. I can't go a podcast without saying it. But like, hey, if we added more weight to the axles and we could bring more stuff out, it's going to make it more economical to clean our forest and probably reduce fire hazards. So let's do that.
How did you tie that in with the podcast with like Todd Smith and Dignity?
Oh yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't know.
Okay.
I probably did though. Now that I think about it, I probably could have.
Somehow we tied woody biomass
if we have
into
active
the medical
forest management. We're going to reduce asthma in our community.
Okay, all right,
Easy
you did
peasy.
it.
No one wants to live in a smoke-filled community. Yeah. I could tie it to everything. I could tie woody biomass to everything, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gauntlet has been thrown.
It's a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's untapped resource. Lots of energy. All right, I'll stop.
Okay. That's probably a good call.
All right, so you have 1 year as the chair, then you're off the board in a couple of years. How do you want to make your impact? Do you have a theme for the year? I know the answer to this, so tell our audience, what's your theme for the year?
Yeah, so we're going to be a really long year. Really, I'm just kidding. It's flying by.
It's flying by.
And the reality is that 1 year is a very short period of time to try to effectively lead change. But I will just say that our board, I think, is one of the strongest that I've seen at the chamber, and really packed full of people that have influence in different areas, great ideas, great access to a variety of different resources. And so I'm super confident about where the chamber is headed, and them being able to continue after my time has passed.
Yeah. You can still be involved. Yes. You were before, you will be long after, I'm sure.
So as I went into this year's chair, kind of thinking about what do I see for the vision of the chamber? What do I think is most important? That phrase that you already stole from me and already
I couldn't help myself.
said, I know it's so good, was just get off the sidelines.
Right.
And it really came back to my favorite quote of all time is "Man in the Arena," and I have it posted like everywhere. I'm not going to recite it to you because I will mess it up. But if you haven't heard it, look it up. Because
Man in the Arena.
Man in the Arena, Theodore Roosevelt. And essentially the essence of it is like, I'm not interested in the opinions of people who are in the stands, right? It's the people that are in the arena. I think it says something about like being mired by dirt and blood, and it gets graphic. It's fine. But the point is, like, you're not changing anything. You're not making a difference unless you're in the arena. So I softened it a little bit and said, get off the sidelines. Because it's really easy, right, to criticize from the sidelines. It's backseat driving. It's like, get in the arena.
Yeah.
Get in the game. Like what I see in this community, we do it well, but I think we can do it better.
Right.
Is to get everyone in the game. And when I look at the chamber, we have a lot of members that join for a variety of different reasons. And some of those are new businesses. They want the marketing, they want the publicity and greeters and that is fantastic. But we also have this group of businesses that are well established. They are incredibly successful. And they've been in the chamber forever, and they continue to pay their dues, for which we are very grateful.
So grateful.
Yes. But I want more.
Right.
Right? I want them in the arena. Because the group of the newer business owners, or maybe even those that are thinking about starting a business, they need your expertise. And the entire community needs your participation. We need everyone's participation. And to me, it was a focus on 3 different areas, which is participation in the chamber, participation in the workforce, and participation in the community. Meaning in some capacity, whether it's all 3 or just pick one, how can you increase your participation? What can you do to give back? Now, I personally believe that, like, for me, true happiness comes when you're serving others. And because it takes your mind off of yourself and puts it in a better place, right? And I want everyone to do that. Getting real lofty here.
Yeah.
We're shooting for the stars. And so I think that as a chamber, is that I always go back to that collective whole, right? Humans aren't built to do big things alone. Let's get everyone participating. Because if you're one of these iconic business owners, I think of like all of the people that have gotten Citizen of the Year from the chamber.
Yeah.
Don't get Citizen of the Year and then step back. Step back in some areas, like take more vacations, you've earned it, like all of that, right? Like go get a massage for it. But don't step back from the community because your input, your expertise is so, so valuable. So get off the sidelines. That was a really long way of saying, like, I want to see more participation.
Right.
I want people to feel inspired, because if you're not inspired, you aren't motivated.
Right.
And we need that motivation for people to say, like, yeah, put me in the game, right? Maybe not as goalie. I don't know.
That's a tough one.
I'll bring people water.
Yeah, there you go.
Match my skill set. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
We all have a different level of something we can give, but we can all give something. And then you put that all together and it makes a huge impact. So if you're sitting on the sidelines, please join us, right? It's a fun game.
Yeah.
Especially because we're going to win.
We are going to win.
We're going to win. So you don't want to be sitting on the sidelines when we win.
How
Everyone gets a medal.
No, not everyone gets a medal. Not happening. Not here. How would you characterize the chamber in one word?
Indispensable.
Indispensable.
Yeah. Indispensable. Chambers are indispensable. True chambers.
Yeah.
That are the 501c6 that are serving the community, that are a collection of members that bring people from different walks of life, different socioeconomic, different business plans, industries together. Mm-hmm. They are indispensable for moving our community forward.
That's good.
Every time you say that's good, I have an imaginary gold star that goes on my chart.
You get a gold star.
So awesome.
I have gold stars for all the board members. It's on the back of my door in the office. And if you do a good thing, you get a gold star on the board. I'm kidding.
Oh, man. I hope I get like 15 from this. Okay.
My one word, because that's what you're going to ask me. I know you're going to just be like, what's yours?
Oh, I'm was.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Todd, tell me. I'll give you 3.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
My one is influence. Influence. And I did a Facebook post a few weeks ago, and it was about, I got a bunch of archives from the chamber history. So I have like binders and binders full of news articles, and no offense to the Record Church Life, but we used to have a lot more local news, and it was stocked full of stuff about what the chamber influenced over the years. Position on
incredible.
This, thing on this. I mean, it is like all the way back from the 30s, and we've been around longer than that, previous to the 30s, but you know, the chamber did this thing. They talked about, you know, bringing the civic auditorium, annexing Enterprise, doing this project. You name it. There's something that the chambers had their hands on over the years for 117 years, and the influence of the chamber over the last 117 years. And again, why I'm at the chamber, not at the EDC. It's really about influence. How are we going to make Reading better?
Yeah.
And how are we going to collectively stand up and say, hey, we can, if we want to see it, we got to do it. Like, no one's going to do it for us. I always love to say, don't be a victim of your circumstances. Like, if you want something, the state of California and the federal government, sorry to tell you, they're not going to bail us out. We got to figure it out ourselves. So how are we going to do it ourselves? And how are we going to make Reading a better place? And like, maybe if we want something, look at our Citizen of the Year. You know, he was tired of how Hilltop looked. And he said, we should do a T-bid. We should all assess ourselves and do a business improvement district to make Hilltop look better. And he just didn't sit there. He just decided to do it. And I think we need more people like Ed Rollman and like yourself to say, hey, if we want something, we've got to figure it out, and we got to do it ourselves, because no one is going to bail us out.
Yeah. So would you say that influence makes the chamber indispensable?
Yes, I would.
Okay, just checking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would, absolutely.
Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, thanks.
So what do you think the biggest challenges are for us as a city moving forward, for us as a business community?
Biggest challenges, number one, is California. But again, don't be a victim. Hey, California, and again, where I was at previously to this, we also have a lot of benefits. We are now the 4th largest economy in the world. We're close to major markets, but we're way more affordable. So all those EDC talking points still rattle around in my head, and we are a great place to live. We have all these amenities. And when I look at Visit Reading, I'm like, hey, we have a place that people want to visit and live, and Visit Reading is like a tip of the spear. So I think one of the biggest challenges is labor force. Again, we've lost out on deals to come here because we didn't have adequate labor force, and our local businesses are struggling with that. And we have lost more than 12,000 people in our labor force since 2009, right when the recession was really taking a hit on the Reading area. And I think it's unfortunate because I think there's a lot of people here, and I think there was more people that can move here. And so seeing some population growth, but also labor force growth. So it's not a bunch of retirees. We love our retirees, but we need active people in the labor force. And that has so many facets to it. Childcare, transportation, all these different things feed into the labor force participation rate. And we are one of the lowest in the state of California for our labor force participation rate. So those that are eligible and able to work, and again, some of those could be because they're 90 years old. They're not going to be labor force, but they still count towards our low participation rate. So getting people into the labor force and getting our population to be stimulated and grow, I think is a huge, huge challenge, and it takes all of us. I mean, we can't do it ourselves. The biggest challenge for people that are recruiting folks, I hear time and time again, is Google. And some dumb article that says something ridiculous from years and years ago, and we eat ourselves alive in Reading. It's not a bunch of outside people bashing on us. It's our own people in Reading that are hating on Reading. And if I could have a magic wand and get all those people to change their perspective of our community, we have endless opportunity for our community if we can just care a little bit more about ourselves. And I think the Reading City Identity Project was a great way to kind of start that process to say, we've got to care more about our community and not just bitch about it. Like, hey, you see a problem, just why don't you roll up your sleeves and help out? Because if we can do that and have that one paradigm shift, our opportunities are endless in this community.
Gold star.
Gold star. Thank you. Get the gold star.
You get a gold star.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's that sense of community pride is so important.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be negative. In fact, it is how our brains chemically operate.
Yeah.
Just fun fact, right? Because our brains are wired to remember the negative. It's what kept us alive, right? That's a lion. It eats me.
Mm-hmm.
That's bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to die. I'm going to remember that. And so we're literally fighting against like the chemical structure and responses within our body to stay positive.
Yeah.
And I think Visit Reading is a great example of really amazing progress that has been done to promote our area. And we do need our people here, right? The ones that live here and work here every day. And if you do, by the way, you're choosing to for a reason. And I've chosen to stay here. I don't ever want to leave. And people think that that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't. I love it here. There's so much good. But how do we get people to start focusing on the good? Like, I don't like to ask people, how was your day? I like to say, what was the best part of your day?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
We do high-low buffalo at our house with the kids.
I'm sorry, what?
We do high-low buffalo at the dinner table
Okay.
with our kids. So
Okay.
good thing that happened in your day, bad thing, and then buffalo is kind of like something unique, or like my kids haven't quite grasped onto that. Like buffalo, I saw a shopping cart going down the middle of the road. Like that could be a buffalo. Or Erica calls 911 all the time. That's a buffalo. I saw a car swerving in and out of the road. So
Of course she does.
yeah, my wife has called 911 probably more times than anybody I know. It's like a monthly occasion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What?
Yeah,
Why?
Shascom, thank you for taking her calls. She's your
Yes.
number one customer.
Yeah. Like top fan badge.
She is.
What? Why?
Random stuff. Buffaloes. Not
But
literal.
like, I need a buffalo example.
A car rolling down the middle of Market Street with nobody in it the other day. That was one example.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
fair.
Kind of a legitimate. Maybe the parking brake went off. Who knows?
So in Erica's defense, can we talk about how many people saw that car
And didn't call
and
911.
didn't call 911?
Yeah.
Because I want to say I would have called 911,
Yeah.
but also I was probably had somewhere to be.
Probably. It'll eventually hit a car or a person and it'll stop.
Thank God for
Yeah.
Erica Jones.
Yeah. She saved the day.
That is fantastic.
It's always
so
random. It's always random.
Maybe at some point we can have a book published of the transcripts of Erica Jones.
Oh, that's a good idea.
911 calls.
Yeah. I mean, because again, like you look at all the stats, maybe we just have a lot of active people, and that's why our crime stats look really high, because we have a lot of people that are really proactive.
Yeah.
But it's really not that bad. I mean, I lived in San Francisco for a year. I lived in Washington, D.C. I've lived in Japan, which is incredibly safe and clean. But I'm like, maybe that's why it looks bad, because we have a lot of people that are like, I'm going to call the cops. But it's really just some weird thing. Some random thing.
Sorry, I'm having trouble focusing because
all right.
I realized I just got my like Amazon top seller idea.
Oh, yeah.
Like-
what is it?
It's Erica's 911 call.
911 transcripts. New York Times bestseller. Yeah.
I went for Amazon because I was like trying to keep the bar low.
Yeah, that's
right.
good. Amazon
keep
is
it low,
good.
fly over
for
it.
a category that's very specific. You're going to be the number one book.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yes. Right.
All right, so you grew up here.
Yes.
What is your ideal day if you were bringing a visitor? Actually, let's say SBI or some other company that you're friends with is bringing like a top level CFO, CEO, COO to town for a recruitment visit. Where are you going to take him? Take him or her.
Wow. That's a tough one.
24 hours. You have 24 hours.
I have 24 hours. Do we need to sleep?
No.
Okay. How many meal breaks do they get in this 24
many
hours?
as you want.
Okay. I need to know the details. I have questions.
Okay.
I have so many questions.
Fair.
So I think my answer on the recruitment side might be different than my answer on the personal citizen side.
Recruitment for
Recruitment for
a company. Physician, CEO,
Okay.
kind of
Do they have
high
kids?
level.
How old are they? Does their
2
spouse
kids,
work?
9 and 10.
Are they
Spouse
moving from
doesn't
an
work.
urban or rural area?
Urban.
Do we know their specific interests already?
Hopefully.
We know
Hopefully.
we
Yeah,
know
let's say
their
we do.
hobbies.
Yeah.
Okay. We
They like the
stalked them on
outdoors.
social
They like
media.
the outdoors.
Okay.
They like that. We got to start with their strengths. They like the
Okay.
outdoors. They have 2 young kids, 9 and 11.
What time of year are they coming to visit?
Spring, right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spring, early summer.
Is it raining? Is there rain in the forecast?
No, not this 24-hour period.
Okay. So, at what day of the week are they coming?
Friday.
Friday.
Yes.
Okay. And they're arriving at what time?
They're going to arrive at 6 a.m. and they're leaving
the-
at 6 a.m. the next day.
to the Reading
flying into
Regional
Reading.
Airport.
Flying into Reading. We
On
don't
a
have a
Friday.
6 a.m. arrival, but let's just pretend.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Let's pretend.
Okay. Maybe we'll get one.
Maybe someday.
Based on this-
we have
based on
6
this
a.m.
podcast.
departures, but we don't have any 6 a.m. arrivals.
Okay, maybe I build this itinerary and it's so great
Yeah.
that the demand increases and we
It
need
could
a 6
happen.
a.m.
It could
arrival.
happen.
Okay. Remind me, they're coming from an urban area?
Urban area from the southeast, Georgia.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Geography
It's helpful.
is so hard
Yeah,
for me,
yeah.
which is difficult in my job. So,
2 young kids with them. Spouse doesn't work.
how young are the kids?
9 and 11.
9 and 11. Okay, so I'm going to focus this day on I'm not going to focus on housing or schools or any of that. I'm going to assume that has already been done. I'm going to set my own rules for this
Okay.
little exercise.
Fair.
So, we are going to, I don't want to pick any favorites. We're going to do brunch. We're going to get breakfast first.
You can pick a favorite.
Because you
It's
need to
allowed.
eat. You need to eat, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then we're going to Deja Vu.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay.
If they hadn't brought the kids, we'd probably go to Lulu's. But we have kids, so we're going to Deja Vu. Yes.
And the kids are going to be perfect for 24 hours, and they don't need to sleep either.
They don't need a nap.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
They're great kids.
That's great. Okay. So it's going to be warm enough after breakfast that we're going to go paddleboarding on Whiskeytown.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're also going to hike to see the falls.
Which ones?
Bernie.
Okay. Great.
We're
Leave
going-
Whiskey Town, go to Bernie. That's
We're going
fine. All right.
paddleboarding, and then we're going
Yeah.
straight to Bernie
Yeah.
Falls.
Okay.
And we're going to see the falls. We're also going to go up to Mount Shasta.
That's a good loop. Oh, yeah, do the whole loop.
We're going to Mount
Perfect.
Shasta.
The kids
I know,
love to drive.
So
They're
in
watching
my brain,
Bluey.
I know. So it turns out that for this day, they rearranged Cool April Nights.
Oh.
And the parade is happening that night. So we're going to watch it from the Sierra
cruise.
Gibbs patio. We're watching the
Nice.
cruise.
Okay.
Yes. And then after the cruise, we're going to Glowing Wild.
Nice.
Yes. But in this weird turn of events, Glowing Wild, we're going to walk through, and then after we exit, it's going to switch to Garden of Lights,
Oh,
and then we're going
yes.
to walk through that, and we're going to see that.
Wow, this is a really magical day. There's a lot of magic involved here. That's fine.
Anyways,
you set the
so
rules.
basically this
Yeah.
is like Michelle's list of favorite things to do.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if we could do the 4th of July fireworks in April
Okay. It's fair.
on Friday.
Yeah.
After Glowing Wild and Garden of Lights.
Do everything on the
the
same
Cool
day.
April Nights Parade, then Glowing Wild,
Yes.
then Garden of Lights, then the 4th of July
Yeah.
fireworks.
Rodeo? Are you going to go to the rodeo
Ooh,
too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
rodeo, since it's a night rodeo,
Sure, you can
which
go to all
is
of
the
them.
best.
And watch the fireworks from
It's
the rodeo.
actually going to start at 2 a.m. Because that's our window of opening after this day that I have
24
planned.
hours.
Also, I have not planned for any travel time, so we are going to teleport between
Perfect.
locations.
Perfect. Where do you stop in Bernie? Let's show a little love to Bernie. I know where I go.
Oh. Where
Every
do
time I go to
s-
Bernie, I'll just tell you so it's not so hard. Alpine Drive-In.
Oh.
Get the ice cream.
The Frosties, yeah. Yeah.
It's good. Go to Bernie Falls. Go to
Yep.
Alpine Drive-In.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Yep.
It's part of the road trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, you just caught me there because I
It's fine.
stay away from fried food and sugar.
It's-
So it was
That's all it
but
is.
it sounds amazing.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go there.
Yeah. So Glowing Wild, Garden of Lights, Cool April Nights, Reading Rodeo,
Yeah.
Mount Shasta,
Don't forget paddleboarding. We're paddleboarding at like 6 a.m.
Deja Vu.
But it's warm.
It's warm. It's great.
Well, after
you can
breakfast,
do everything.
so probably yeah.
Okay, that's a good day.
I think when it comes down to when I look at growing up here, raising my 3 kids here, and the times that I have been in this community, like, I mean, it's funny to talk about all the things and teleporting our guests, which I think would be awesome.
You can
But
do it.
the times when I have that bring tears to my eyes in this community are always the times when we are together and we are cohesive as a group, right? It's those unifying things that bring us together that like, hey, we have more in common than we have different.
Right.
And Cool April Nights always makes me think of that. The rodeo, I always feel that, right? The pancake breakfast, those times when you go out and you're in this massive group of people and you know some of them, but not all of them, but it doesn't matter because it feels like you know all of them.
Yeah.
Because this is our town.
Yeah.
And so, and I just really love paddleboarding and I love Bernie Falls. So
It's good.
and hiking.
Yeah.
Like I love the outdoors, but really those times that I wish someone was visiting could feel is those ones that just bring us out as a community.
Yeah.
Right. And just all the negative stuff doesn't matter.
Right.
Like we're all here to celebrate the 4th of July. We're all here to look at Christmas lights and this amazing display with our families and our kids. And so that's why I am attempting to pack
Everything.
every feel-good community moment into
That's
this 24-hour recruiting tour. Because by the time they leave, they will be drinking the Kool-Aid and they will love this town and this community just like I do.
That's awesome. That's a great day.
Gold
Gosh.
star.
Gold star. Put it on there.
So a lot of change going on
Yep.
in the world, state, county, city. You're semi-new in your role, newish,
Yeah.
newish.
Newish.
Where do you see this community in 10 years?
Yes, that's a great question.
And what will it take to get us there?
Yeah. Wow. That's another good.
And you have 24 hours.
Okay, 24 hours to do
Man.
it. Yeah. I think, sometimes people don't love my answer, but I think Reading needs to grow. I think Reading needs to responsibly grow right now. And when I talk about Reading, I'm always talking about the metropolitan statistical area. I know it's really nerdy, but it's like the metro, like the MSA. It's called the MSA. So it's Reading,
Super nerdy.
Shasta Lake, Anderson, Palisades, French Gulch, Lakehead. It's really the whole kind of core area with I'd say like a 30-mile radius of the center of Reading is the MSA roughly. So the Reading area needs to grow. We have about 180,000 people in our MSA. I think that Reading, to get to the next level for amenities and travel and flights and attractions and infrastructure, I think we need to be about 250,000 people for the MSA, not just in Reading. So I think if the MSA was like 250,000 people in 10 years, which is a pretty dramatic increase quickly, maybe 15 years, I think that's going to help Reading level up. I think it's going to help Reading level up. And how we're going to do that is that we're going to roll up our sleeves and collectively try to do the things that are going to make our community better. And we're not going to stop progress. When I look back at over the last 20 plus years of Reading that I've kind of been aware of Reading, obviously I grew up in Weaverville, but like looking back on all the big things that happened, look at the Sundial Bridge and Mosaic. Or Sheraton specifically, people didn't want that. People didn't want progress, and I'm tired of people not wanting progress. We're not going to be a small town forever. We're not a small town right now. Small town is, Cottonwood's a small town. We need to grow because we are already big enough. We're already big. We need to be bigger and we need to be better. And so I think having more collective collaboration, more people working together, these community events and having that community pride throughout the year and not just at these specific times a year, I think that's going to help us grow. And I think not wanting to stop progress. I think that's the biggest thing. People that are against progress and change and growth, I think those people need to reevaluate their lives and say, hey, we got to grow. We're not going to stay small forever. We've got to grow because there are more of us that want new things than that want us to stay the same. And if you stay the same, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I think we need to grow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to gold star.
Dig in. Thank you.
You still get a gold star.
Thank you.
But to soften it just slightly.
Sorry. I got a little bit.
All I would say, I don't disagree with you. I think that's so important. But I think we need to stay also hyper-focused on our legacy and on our history.
Sure.
So grow, absolutely, move forward, invite progress, and do it in a way that we're also making sure that we're honoring that history of where we've come from.
Totally.
Because I think that's the tug for people, right? Like that's the heartstrings of like, but I remember it this way when I was a kid.
Totally.
Right? And so we find a way to honor our history while making progress and while moving forward and growing.
Totally. I mean, look at what the city council recently did. They recently signed a 25-year lease, the first time in history that the rodeo has had a lease longer than 5 years, because it's always been like a back-of-the-envelope short lease. So our city council just did a 25-year lease with 2 10-year options, so up to 45 years. So they're honoring the legacy of rodeo, which we all want to have here. At the same time, we're looking at opportunities in downtown. Like, I don't really, we actually are put downtown back to where it used to be.
Yeah.
My parents grew up here in the 60s and earlier, but the 60s, they were primarily in the Reading area. And they remember driving down Market Street. Market Street just opened up a few years ago for the first time back to the 60s. So we're actually bringing it back to where it used to be, but making it better than ever before. I don't know if we're quite there yet, but it's on its way. With the public market opening up soon, we're actually getting back to what downtown used to be. What it used to be, and it's making it better, and we're providing housing and all the other amenities. So I think we do need that legacy, and I want Pancake Breakfast to be here for another 50 years, and I want the Cool April Nights. I want all these things, but at the same time, I also want a flight to San Diego. I want maybe a Nordstrom's or something. I don't know. I'm not that bougie, but we want these nicer things, and we have to grow to get them.
See, now I can't say that I would love a Nordstrom's because you just called it bougie.
Yeah,
you just ruined that for me.
And
also,
Marcus,
I just shout out to the Reading City Council for that lease for the rodeo grounds, because I need that for my 24-hour whirlwind recruiting
Otherwise, your
tour.
recruitment tour's not working. Yeah.
Throw the whole thing out the window. Yes.
Where do you see Reading in 10 years?
Like my ideal for this town would be growth, right? Make things simpler for that growth too. Make it easier for growth so that it promotes the small businesses, but also kinder.
Yeah.
And kinder on all levels, right? Like I want to experience kindness wherever I go in this town. And we're always going to have problems, and our problems aren't all that different than what other communities face, right? There's a homeless crisis everywhere. Let's solve it in the kindest way we can find for our town. Like, let's have that be who we are. Like, is it frustrating getting permits sometimes? Sure. And it's frustrating on both sides.
Right. Totally.
Let's find the kindest way to do that. Like, let's find a way to where we're honoring each other, honoring who we are as a community. And I feel like the world becomes better when that's our focus.
Yeah.
Because the other problems that we think are really big right now, we have to remember 95% of the world would love to have our problems.
Sure. Right.
And if we can look at it and like, hey, we see differently on this, but we're going to be kind to each other and honor our shared humanity. I am getting like real sentimental on this podcast.
Yeah.
But I mean it, right? So where I see Reading in 10 years, progress, growth, honoring our history, but ultimately being kind to each other through every step of that. Like let's assume the best of each other.
Gold star.
Gold star.
Gold star. Yes. You get it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The City Builders Podcast is brought to you by Obsidian IT. Obsidian IT is a Reading-based, employee-owned technology company providing simple, scalable, outsourced IT for your business. Discover how Obsidian cares about IT and give them a call at 530-242-6000 or obsidianit.com. Obsidian keeps us running at the chamber, and we could not do business without them.